Good morning, or if it is afternoon, we're now in the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed our event so far. For those of you who don't know, I am Melanie Pearl, and I'm one of the employment advisors at Work Avenue. Good to see some of my current clients on the call, and also former clients who have now got jobs. Welcome back, and nice to see you as well. And also, of course, all of our new clients and new faces too. I'm delighted to introduce to you Jess Green and Sara Sherrard, who we are going to be talking to this morning to find out more about their careers, and particularly how they their careers. They're both mums, and they've balanced being a mum with working as well. And they have some very interesting stories. They've really been on journeys of self-discovery themselves, and I think they've both got some very interesting stories to tell. Jess and I used to work together about 10 years ago, actually, when we were both working at the United Synagogue in different departments. I was in HR, and Jess was in the burial team, but we've just reunited, so lovely to see you again, Jess, and to be working with you again. And Sara Sherrard I have known for many years. We actually live very near to each other, and are good friends, as are our sons. So lovely to be working with both of you. So we're going to ask a few questions, but also open to the floor or the screen, if you like, to ask questions as well. Please do feel free to ask questions in the chat as we go along as well. So just start with Sara, and just ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, where you're working now, and a little bit about your journey to get to where you are today.
Hi, thank you, Melanie. Very, very honoured to be asked. So thank you for asking me to speak here. So as Melanie said, my name is Sara Sherrod. I am currently the Executive Director of Stand With Us UK. I have had a journey here. Probably the easiest place is to say that I was working at American Express, where in the sort of events management side of things, when I was approached by the International Bar Association many years ago, when I had worked for I'd worked for them as a travel company. I'd worked for them in organising an event for them, and they came and asked me to work for them whilst I was at American Express. So I went to work on the other side of event management. I'd always been on the travel side, and I became the client for the first time. And so I entered into the world of travel, of event management, from literally organising speakers, and completely different side of the event management to what I'd been used to. And I worked for the IBA for a number of years. I left to have children. I have 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters. And as Melanie says, my son is very good friends with her son. And I left to have kids. And then as a mum, I kept being approached by different people to organise events for them. And I think that's what happens when you've done event management. People start to think you'll do it for free. So I did, and I would do it for free. And this business sort of, or this personal event management business started out of just organising events for people for nothing, and it became more and more, and eventually I just got approached by more and more organisations to do different events, and I was eventually approached by the President's Club, and you probably all have heard of the President's Club. And I worked for the President's Club as a charity, organising their events for about 12 years, as well as other organisations, including Stand With Us. And unfortunately for me, it was quite successful. I was working for myself, became very successful. I had a number of different organisations and clients I worked for. But as everybody will remember, about 3 years ago, the President's Club had a very public and quite upsetting demise, and that affected me. And I kind of stopped working after that. I wasn't really doing anything. I did a couple of things for other people, but my confidence hit rock bottom. It also coincided with my mum being diagnosed with leukemia. And then during 9 months after the President's Club disappeared and work all dried up, my mum died in very tragic circumstances. And she fell at the railway on a Mill Hill Broadway station, and I have been campaigning ever since for better safety on the railways. And that's what I was doing, and I was doing that for some time, and then got approached by Stand With Us to come and work for them on something I was doing. And I had applied for a couple of things that I thought maybe I would go back to, but I wasn't quite sure. And Stand With Us asked if I would take on this role, which I didn't think I could do, but I am doing, and I'm smashing it. And that's what brings me here, and that's where I am today. It's a very strange journey, but that's how I got here. I hope that answers your question, Melanie.
Really great. Thank you very much, Sarah. And great to hear you saying, you know what, I'm doing it and I'm smashing it. And I didn't have the confidence to start with, but now I'm doing it and I am smashing it. And I think that's really, you know, it's not a big takeaway already. Thank you for that. And Jess, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Jess. My background really started in retail, and then I moved into admin, where I've been working for the last 20 plus years. And I enjoyed it at the time. It was where I wanted to be. I became a mum, and life just sort of bundled away. As you've said, I went to work for the Burial Society, which is probably where my journey really started. Having empathy for people. Yes, that's probably where my journey started. I was there for 2 years, and then I got headhunted to go and work for the head office of the Burial Society. My journey didn't work out very well there, and then I just moved from pillar to post from jobs and things like that. And then I worked in a school, which again, my empathy started growing a bit more, and various things had happened in my life as well. And I just thought, and then I went for another job where empathy was definitely for me, but it wasn't a job for me at all. And I went to the charity fair that Work Avenue and JVM put on. And there I was wandering around thinking, I don't really want to do admin anymore. And I walked past Jamie. There was a big Jamie stand, and I'd heard a bit about what they'd done, partly because my daughter had a mental breakdown. Sorry. And I saw there was a job, peer support worker, and I thought, perfect, that's for me. So I went for the job, and unfortunately I didn't get the job, but the lady who runs the hub said, you'd be perfect to come and work as a volunteer. Please come and work as a volunteer. So I thought, okay, I'll come and work for a volunteer. And I started there, and I just fell in love with Jamie, absolutely fell in love with it. Everything that they do and they stand for, helping people with mental health illness, is just amazing. And obviously, unfortunately, COVID hit, so my time in the hub stopped, but I didn't want to stop volunteering. So eventually I was contacted to do some more volunteering in the carers service, and also befriending service, and that's what I did. And eventually a job came up in the carers service, and I was told by the people that ran the carers service they really wanted me to come and work for them. And so they told me when the job was advertised, they told me when it all was going ahead, and I thought, right, now this is my chance to do something that I've always wanted to do. In the meantime, while doing all of this, I signed up and I'm now doing a counselling course as well, because that's my path. I want to be a counsellor within the mental health service. So I applied for the role and I literally did my homework on the job, on the interview, found out all the questions that were going to be asked. And yes, I got the job and I started on the 2nd of November this year. And I'm now a carer peer support worker, and I absolutely love my job. Absolutely love it. It sounds silly, but I love mental health. I just love it. Helping people, it's just amazing. So that's my journey. And like Sarah, I am smashing it. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Wonderful. What a wonderful story to tell. And thank you for really speaking from the heart. And I know that's obviously always not always so easy. So thank you for doing that. Because when we go to work, we're a whole person. We're not just somebody who goes to work. We have a family behind us. We have something else going on as well, and it's very difficult not to take that to work. But what's very interesting with both of you, Sara and Jess, you took something from your personal life and made it part of your work. Sara more in your previous job, and Jess. And it's often when we're looking for jobs, it's interesting to do that and to think, actually, what do we really like doing? What are we doing at home? Do we want to take that into our work or not? Not everybody does, but sometimes we do. So very interested to hear Jess. What's a good day like and what's a bad day like in your job? Tell us what really goes on when you're working.
So there are no good days and bad days. We're in the care, as I say, I'm a carer peer support worker. People call up, either self-referral or they've been referred. And we get allocated, if we've got space for a client. And we call that client, and sometimes the stories are really hard to listen to because of the person that they are caring for, be it a mother, brother, sister, whatever. And it is hard because so to be a peer support worker, you have to have lived experience. And obviously, as I've said, I've got the lived experience, but I'm not necessarily living the experience that person is going through. So sometimes what you're listening to, it can be very hard. And you do, when you put the phone down, have to take a breather and say, wow, that was hard, but you're there to support and you're there to give them the advice or give them some advice, because obviously we're not counsellors at the end of the day. We can only signpost them if they need counselling, or signpost them to various areas of the community that might be able to help them. So there's no good or bad day. For me, every day's a good day because I'm helping someone, and that's what I like doing.
Which is wonderful, and that really comes across, and your enthusiasm and excitement really comes over in droves. And the same question to you, Sara. What's a good day and a bad day like in your world of work?
So I suppose I have to answer that with two different hats on. As an individual, as a person who didn't think I could do this job. And when I took it, my first reaction when I was offered is, are you joking? I can't do that. So I suppose a good day is every day, because I am doing it and I'm proving to myself I can do it. And every day there is a different challenge. It's in this role, every day is different and every day presents a different challenge. A good day, on a very simple way, is to say that I get through all my emails by the end of midnight. That's a good day. A bad day is when there are still 50 emails sitting in the morning and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's only going to be hundreds more. So, but I think on the whole, every day I am proving to myself that I can do this, and I didn't think I could. I genuinely didn't think I could do this job, and I can. So therefore every day is a good day. Every day is a learning day. every day I learn something new, every single day, without doubt, and that's not an exaggeration. But yeah, I suppose every day is a good day. There are bad days. There are days where we have losses as an organisation. You know, we're an Israel advocacy organisation, so there are days when there are good things and there are bad things. It's a challenge. It's a challenge work-wise. There is a massive amount of work to do, and I have to say that can be quite soul-destroying. It's the job in itself is insurmountable. It's huge, a mountain to climb, and we even touch the surface. So every day is a challenge. But personally, if I get through my emails and I learn something, it's a good day. As an organisation, every day is a challenge, so that's two different things.
For those, Sarah, who don't know much about Stand With Us, can you just tell us a bit more about what it does and what you do in the role?
Okay, so Stand With Us is a non-political, non-partisan organisation that educates people about Israel and about, fundamentally, we are non-political, so we do not take a political stance, but we believe in Israel's right to exist. And every day we are explaining to students and the wider community at large as to the importance of Israel, the reason Israel has every right to exist in this world, and anybody that campaigns against Israel's right to exist, we counter that, and we counter misinformation about Israel. And so it is a huge role, a huge job. And I not having, actually, it's something that's dear to my heart. It's been a charity I've supported for many years, but I never expected I would be leaving the organisation. And there's a lot to learn all the time. So it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenging role.
Thank you. And Jess, what advice would you give, or really to both of you, but maybe young Jess first, what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about changing career or thinking what to do next? What are the steps that perhaps you took, or advice you would give to others to take?
So, especially in this current climate where jobs seem to be so few in between, everyone is applying for the same role. I mean, you know, it's quite hard. I would definitely look at the volunteering side of things. What worked for me, I volunteered because you're already working for them in a way. They get to know you as that person, so that if a role does come up, they already know who you are. So for me, I would definitely say, especially in this climate, there are so many people, especially charities, crying out for volunteers. So if there's a particular way you want to go, that's the way I would go, down the volunteering route. No, of course it doesn't bring in the money. I get that. I understand that. And everybody, you know, is finding it hard. And I do get that. But just volunteering, get you noticed, I suggest.
Thank you, Jess. Well, you're living and breathing the results of some of that. I think
Yeah.
the thing to remember about volunteering, you don't have to volunteer full time. So you can volunteer alongside looking for a job. You can volunteer full time, and that will give you some expertise, and obviously puts your role right to the top of your CV. But you can volunteer half a day a week, 1 day a week, and you will get some skills, and you'll be able to carry on with your job search as well. Sarah, anything to add to that from you?
Well, I would say actually that I've been volunteering my whole life. I've always volunteered. I suppose that's how getting back to work at the very beginning after having children was volunteering, because I did things for free. And I'm a guider as well, so I volunteer in girl guiding, and I've been, as I say, campaigning for better safety on the railways, which is also volunteering. And all I can say is, all of those things I've done, each one builds on itself. So the skills I've gained by volunteering, by offering whatever skills I didn't necessarily have confidence in, but the things that I could do, by offering them for free in the first instance, allowed me to build on each thing. I gained confidence in what I could do. And because I wasn't charging for it, I had the confidence to do it even better, because if I had made a mistake, well, it didn't matter because it was free. So each thing I've ever done in my life, to be honest, has been built, is confidence and experience that's been built on itself and gained on itself. And I even by campaigning for better safety within trains, that has led me to have experiences I would never thought I would have. I've delivered talks to rail bosses in rooms of, I've spoken at the Royal, the RSSB. I've been and had meetings with ministers and MPs, and that in itself is a confidence gaining experience. And I think that there is so much to be learned and to be had from the networking you can do and the confidence you build. The only thing that I would add to all of that is that a very good friend of mine gave me a huge tip when I was looking for a job. And she said, don't look at a job spec as whether you can do it or you can't do it. Look at a job spec of any job you go for as a wish list by the organisation that put that job up. And when I was offered this role at Stand With Us, I looked at the job spec and they sent it to me, and I thought, I can't do that. Must be joking. I haven't got that and I haven't got that. And I literally did what I tell my kids to do. And I took 3 highlighters and I did the traffic light system. And I still have my job spec even now. And I went through the job spec with 3 highlighters, and I thought, yeah, I can do that. I really can't do that, but I might be able to do that. And I literally broke it down in a highlighting traffic light system. And when I actually looked at the things I couldn't do, I thought, well, I can learn those. And when I looked at the things I wasn't entirely confident about, I broke those down again. And I thought, yes, come on, you can try and do it. And I really don't think I would have taken this job on when I first looked at it in the whole. But when you break it down in its parts and you have the confidence to try and analyze the bits you can't do, you actually realize you can do a lot more than you think you can.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And I think actually just to add to that, that's so helpful, Sarah. This traffic light system, I think, is great. And I think that's true. I mean, having been an employer and working with employers, they can't get everything they want. They really can't. They can't. They have this wish list, as Sarah rightly calls it, but they're very unlikely to get everything. But be really honest with yourself. Go through and really think, actually, I've crossed that off and said I can't do it, but can I actually do it? Maybe I can. And I think that's really important, to have that sense of self-confidence. And if you can't, think about whether there's a way in which you can. Is there some training you can do? Is there something that you can do to help yourself to sell yourself well to an employer, or sell your skills well to an employer? Because people buy people at the end of the day. And if you can show that you can do things, they can't change. They're not going to change your personality, even if they want to. But they can change certain things certain things that really we call skills. Got a question in the chat from sorry, I'm Hannah. Maybe Hannah is here with us. Hannah Dahan, who is another one of our employment advisors, and he's very kindly keeping an eye on the chat, and I'm forgetting to go to her. So Hannah.
Okay, so there's a question from Naomi. What advice would you give someone who has had to take time off work due to mental health, and the job also didn't fit, and are now looking to go back into work? How do you explain the gap in your work employment, and how do you address your mental health going forward with your hopefully new employers?
Thank you. So that's a question initially for Jess. Obviously, I'm very interested in both of your takes on that as people who have been looking for jobs. But Jess, perhaps with your additional hat as working in mental health, whether you can help us with that one.
So, Naomi, if you're listening still, you can get help from Jamie. Jamie do something which help people get back into work. If you've ever been a service user, they definitely are very good at helping you look for work, and they will set you on the right path. Obviously, there will be gaps, and I think you just have to be open and honest. You know, mental health, as we all know, is something you can't see, but you can't stick a sticking plaster on it. And I definitely think that, you know, you've already taken the first steps. You're on this work, haven't you, thing as well. So, you know, they will help you and guide you through, you know, so you're doing the right things. But don't be afraid to say you've got mental health illness on your CV. Absolutely not.
Lovely, thank you, Jess. Sarah, if I can just ask you a slightly different question. So what did you do to build your confidence, or what advice can you give to others based on your own experience in terms of building your own confidence? You've told us that you weren't feeling so confident at the beginning of before you took the job. How did you go about that? How did that happen?
Well, the thing is, I think the gap that I experienced and the knock to my confidence, and that goes a little bit a long way to talking about mental health actually, is that it was a terribly dark period for me when my role in my working life disappeared in a very public way, and it was a very hard, difficult thing to deal with, was the loss of my work at the same time as my mum being diagnosed and then tragically dying very suddenly. And I think I was in a terrible place. I was very, very low. Extremely low, and I actually didn't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to curl up into a ball and disappear. It was such a terrible time and such a shocking experience. But I think firstly, family gets you through. And in the end, I just realized, I think, that I had to do something to change what I was doing. And I made a decision that I had to start work. I had to do something, and I was going to volunteer. And I volunteered. I threw myself into campaigning for better safety. I mean, I suppose I was lucky in a way. My mum left me a cause to work towards. So she gave me something. She gave me a reason to campaign on behalf of others. And I threw myself into that. And that gave me confidence. As I said earlier, that in itself gave me things to do. But it was the not allowing myself to be overwhelmed and deciding I'm going to do something about this. I'm just going to do something about this. But I didn't see this role. I didn't ever picture this. This wasn't what I was aiming for. I actually originally was looking for sort of jobs of 1 day a week. And I had a horrible experience going for a job, absolutely awful, that really knocked me, a horrible, horrible experience where somebody suggested I went for a job that was actually 1 day a week. Honestly, I could have done it with my eyes shut. I was so overqualified, and I went for it, and it was a horrible interview. I had to run through hoops, and I didn't get it. And I thought, how can you not employ me? I've been doing more than that. And that also knocked me. But actually, it made me so angry that I was determined not to let that knock me. And it actually made me realize I can do better than that. I can do better than that job. And I think it was in my anger and my frustration as well that it helped me prove to myself where I could be. I honestly didn't imagine myself in this role. And as I say, I haven't said actually, and maybe I should. I took on the job, and my first day on the 16th of March was the day when Boris, and I was meant to start one role. I was taken on to do a role, and in fact, months I had doing. The roles look different, far more challenging, far harder than I could ever have imagined. And if anybody back on the 16th of March, oh, have I lost you?
Just lost you for a minute there, Sarah.
Have I lost you? Have you got me?
I heard the gist of it.
Oh, okay. If anybody had told me of the 16th of March that I would have to work like this during coronavirus, I would never, ever, ever, ever have taken it. But I'm doing it. And So all I can say is, if you push yourself to rise to the challenge, that's the only advice I have in that way, is just push yourself, believe in yourself, and you can do it.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Sarah. And Jess, anything to add to that? We've just been to a session, well, some of us have just been to a session on building resilience. How do you build the resilience to cope with rejection, to cope when people are, when you feel like either you're actually physically being rejected, in that you're getting letters that are telling you that you're rejected, or you're not hearing, or you're just thinking you'd like to go for a job, but just thinking, no, it's just not for me. How do you cope with that?
I think I just reiterate what Sara said. If you're really passionate about a particular job or a particular role, you just have to pick yourself up and say, right, okay, I didn't get that one, but I know I'm going to get the next one. And also sort of like really research what you're going for, so that you've got the understanding of what the role is. But yeah, just being able to pick yourself up, dust yourself down and say, right, okay, that obviously wasn't the job for me. The right job is out there for me, though. I have frozen. Everyone's frozen.
Should be okay. Can you
yeah.
hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, they're both really helpful to us there. I think the other thing to say, or just to add something else, is that when you do get a rejection and you're feeling low and you're feeling down, take some time out before you go on to the next job. Allow yourself that time. Not too much time, because you do have to pick yourself up and get on with it. But you're also allowed to have a little bit of time to recover and come back to it. And the other thing to say is that you can be overqualified as well as underqualified in a job. And as frustrating as that feels at the time, as it did for Sara, who I think we've now lost, Sarah's back, that's good. It can happen, because employers are looking for somebody who's going to stay, who's going to have the skills, who's going to want the specific skills that they want, and is not going to be bored in the role. So I know that does happen, really. And what about transferable skills? Have you identified the transferable skills that you've used? I know, Jess, when we were talking, the fact that we hadn't seen each other for about 10 years, and then of course I knew you as somebody who worked in the burial team, and then of course I knew you as in your current role within Jamie, and obviously I haven't known you in between, but the skills seem to easily transfer from one to the other. But what skills would you say that you would pick out that you've transferred from one career to another?
So yeah, definitely from the burial office, because you have to have empathy. You know, I was first port of call when anyone called in to announce that their beloved one had died. So you have to have the empathy and show that I mean, I didn't quite understand, but I could understand what they were going through. So that was definitely a transferable skill. And just my life skills of just going through my life. You know, I had counselling because something happened in my life. So when people call up, you know, I've got some empathy of what they're going through, because I might have a similar thing to them. Okay, I know I've worked in admin, but some of those skills are transferable. Obviously, you know, computers, you know, my computer skills and things like that have definitely, you know, been transferable for me. But I've also learned, like Sara, I've learned new skills along the way that have been transferred into the job that I'm doing now. So you can pick up new skills along with your transferable skills and just use them to the best of your ability.
Lovely, thank you. And same to Sara. What transferable skills do you think you're now using in your job? There must be so many.
Hundreds, everything. I actually think every single thing that I have picked up throughout life. Even, I suppose now that even as a mother, here I am running an organization that is primarily here to support students, and I find myself using all my that really I can
just losing you a little bit, Sarah.
Don't realize we have. I don't think we can look at our skills and say, I can do that, I can only do that. I think we have to look at our skills and say, my own personal experience of anything helps enhance all your skills in whatever job you do.
Great advice. Thank you very much. And you just touched on Sarah as a mother. Can you give some tips to people who are thinking about how they're going to balance home and family life with work life when your children are young and when your children are older? Obviously, I know personally that you've obviously been through both. So how do you cope with that? Any tips you've got for others?
I think that is extremely hard, and I think that is a challenge for us all. And even for me, even currently for me, I've just found out that my son is actually not very well. So I'm juggling that even now. I've got challenges. I think it is really hard. Doesn't matter how old your children are, you're always a mum. You can have small kids. My mum always used to say to me, little children, little problems, big children, big problems.
Big problems.
And I really think that it doesn't matter whether your kids are tiny and they're demanding of your time, or they're older and they're demanding of your thought process. Your kids are, as a mum, and I have 3 of them, my kids will be my kids till my dying day. And I genuinely think that that is a challenge for us all, juggling work and home life. Because if you're a mum, your brain is partly with them all the time and all their problems. And that's certainly the case for me at the moment. And I think that we can all agree that it doesn't actually matter how the challenges of your own family. It's difficult for all mums, and that yes, single mums will have it the hardest, that's for sure. But I think as a mum, and even now with the child who is taking up an awful lot of my brain space, I think it is a challenge. And I salute all mums, all of us out there who have to juggle parenthood, motherhood, and working life. But that's the reality. That is our reality. And I think one of the worst things that we can do as individuals is bottle it up. And I think if you share it, sometimes a problem shared is a problem halved. And I think as mums, we have to be honest. We have to say it's hard, and then we have to get on with it, because it is. And I don't think it ever goes away.
Yeah, and I think also, I know you mentioned to me also you're not caring for, but you've obviously making sure your father is well as well. We want to be the sandwich generation as well. So you've got when your kids are young and when your kids are older, and then you've got caring responsibilities perhaps at any point during that time as well.
Just yesterday, my dad's heating went, and he was trying to get hold of the plumber, and I was in the middle of a meeting, and because I'm working at home, one of my kids ran into me and said, Papa needs you, Papa needs you. I can't ring him now, but he really needs you. So I had to stop everything and get hold of a plumber and make sure, beg the plumber to go over to Dad because he had no heating. So it doesn't stop, it never stops. And that's the reality. That is the reality. But we can do it, ladies. We can do it.
Yeah,
we can.
We have to say that, and not just say that. We do it. We're
Exactly.
we are working, and we are doing that.
Exactly.
Managing to balance everything. Jess, what tips can you offer? I know you've also had caring responsibilities. Do have caring responsibilities too.
So, I think Sarah said it all really. It never goes away. I am a carer for my daughter, although she's at university and she's away. Yes, I worry about her because she is a mum, but I also have the extra worry because she has mental health issues. So like Sarah was saying, I was in between clients and my daughter phoned me because she needed to speak to me. I couldn't say to her, I'm really sorry, I can't speak to you because I've got a client to call. I had to listen to her because she needed to speak to me. She was going through some mental health issues that she wanted to talk to me about. So yes, it is a juggling act, you know, and that call lasted 45 minutes. So I was then late calling a client, but in that particular instant, my daughter came first. And it is a very big juggling act. But yeah, as women, there's something in us as women. We can multitask somehow. You give it to a man, they can't quite grasp, you know. I never forget once, just after having our daughter, I only have one child, but just after having her, my husband said, right, you go out, and I'll look after Ella. Well, that's all he did, was he looked after Ella. I came back, the house was an absolute mess because he couldn't cope with the looking after and clearing the house. But as women, we did it, you know. We do it, and we still do it, whether they're big or small. So yeah, we have to do it. We have to juggle, and we have to keep, you know, putting that force, that women force, you know, it's definitely there. So yes.
It is. I think for the sake of equality, even though we're on an all women day today, I should say that there are men out there who also have some of these challenges too, and men who are helpful within family life as well. Because I wouldn't want us to think that we're kind of having a dig at men today. That's not the idea. But of course, a lot of women, and a lot of the surveys show this, that women often take the bigger share of the responsibilities, which is why we have conversations like this. If you had to sort of pick out one thing that you've learned on your journey, I know it's hard to pick out one thing, but the biggest thing that you've learned on your journey, what would that be, Jess?
My biggest thing on my journey is I'm actually in a job where I'm myself for the first time in however many years I've been working. God, 30 years plus, I suppose. I am actually myself. I'm doing something that I want to do. And no one's telling me that I can't do it, because I know I can. As I say, I've enrolled on a college course, doing counselling, and I know that I'm on the right path for my counselling journey. And it's the same for this. And yeah, I've actually found happiness for the first time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jess. And Sara, the same question.
I suppose, I suppose I would just say, be prepared to be amazed. You know, I think I've learned that I'm much, much stronger than I thought. I really am so much, much stronger. If I look back to the child I was, and then the teenager I was, and then even the 20, 30, 40, I'm stronger as a 50 something than I ever thought I could be. And I've taken all the experiences of my life, be they good or bad, and I am a stronger person for them. And life is still going to be challenging. I know that now. We recently had this surprise, and I realise I have more strength to find, and a huge journey to go through. And none of us know what's around the corner. But I suppose I've just learned I'm way, way stronger than I thought I could be. That's all I can say. And I just don't think the journey ever ends. It's not when I'm not at the end. This is just part of it. And there is no goal. I never had a goal. I never set out to be in this role. I can't say I'm going to be in it forever, but I just know I'm grateful for what I have right now, and I'm strong enough to cope with whatever is thrown at me.
Great, thank you. So what's next for you, Sara?
Oh my gosh. Well, as I've alluded to, I think right now it's getting through this period in my life. It's not going to be easy. We've got some real challenges as a family ahead of us, and my son's health is my priority right now. But I have, as executive director of Stand With Us, the job is huge. I need funding, I need to find donors, I need to find staff. That's something else I should tell you all. I mean, who knew that I could actually be the recruiter, that I could be the employer, be the person that does the finding of staff and looking for staff. That's been a huge challenge. But this role is growing and never ending. So as executive director of Stand With Us, it's a huge role. As Sara Sherrod, mum of 3, wife of 1, it's another huge role. And I think what next is, I'm just bracing myself for what next. And I'll just put a smile on and cope with whatever's thrown at me. That's all I can say. I think that's what's next.
Great, thank you. And watch our jobs board, because it sounds like there may well be.
Yes, there are a few jobs coming. I need to talk to you.
Looking forward to that. And Jess, what's next for you?
Well, for me is to become a counsellor and work in mental health for young adults, that's 16 to 25-year-olds, because that is where that's where my passion is. These kids need help, and we're heading into what we don't really know what we're heading into. Yes, we've got a vaccine, but some kids have been really impacted by this coronavirus, be it their GCSEs, A-levels, starting university. It's been really very, very difficult for them, and it's had an impact on them. It's also, you know, as the kids grow up, it's going to have an impact on them as well. So that's my passion, is to end up working for in the mental health, and to continue my journey in that world. That's what it is for me.
Thank you very much. We've got a few comments, lovely comments in the chat. So I hope you're looking, Jess and Sara. Just thanking you for being so open and honest and inspiring to us all. We've probably got time for one more question. If anybody's got a question, just would like to unmute themselves and ask, then we have got time for one more. Anybody? Okay, well, thank you very much indeed to both Sara and to Jess for really, as I said, speaking from the heart. You really have inspired me, and I can see by the comments and everybody's faces how much you've inspired everyone today, based on your own journeys. And there's a few thumbs ups as well. Based on your own journeys and really being so open, and I wish you every success, because you're now doing jobs that you really want to do. Every success at work and also with your home life. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you. Thanks, Melanie.
See you on the pleasure, and see you on the question and answer session, which is our next one.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.